Tarot cards are often the first step and basis for a seeker of metaphysical knowledge, like you, to discover your forever path. That could be astrology, numerology, healing arts, or any other spiritual interest you discover along the way. Elaine Ireland is not only a teacher of tarot, she is a mentor who supports you and will be there for you. Visit www.elaineIrelandtarotmaster.com now and discover how Elaine's mentoring, tarot card and psychic readings, tarot card classes, and more help you to grow into the true being you are meant to be. Welcome to Conversations with the Ancients, where you're about to discover a whole different world than the one that, up until now, you've believed you're familiar with. World-renowned metaphysicist, practicing psychic, and tarot teacher Elaine Ireland invites you on a journey where you'll hear voices from the past, interviews with some of the greatest metaphysicians you've never heard of, because in their time, they needed to move with stealth. You'll also meet today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who will show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Be sure you visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, hear the words of metaphysicians who blazed the trail. You're not in jail, thanks to them.
Welcome to Conversation with the Ancients. This is Elaine Ireland, and I am with Dr. Robin Shepperd. And yes, she truly is a doctor. Doctor. And behind her, you're going to see a lovely little kitty named Venus that has come to join us today. You may hear or see cats come and go because that seems to be her familiar energy is cats these days, forever and ever. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some, but not Venus. So welcome to our show, our conversation. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
I have to tell everybody up front that I've known you for a long time. Her company's name is Compassionate Clearing. Those of you that are listening, you have probably already read all about her. She's a medical doctor who has found a way to mix her metaphysical belief systems and other tools, such as pendulum clearing, EFT, which is a form of tapping. We'll go over all of those. Polarity therapy, which I want her to explain to me, and what she calls an emotional code. Yes, I have experienced her work, and it's wonderful. She does, when she says she clears, oh, believe me, people, she clears, and it's wonderful. She's been a long time student of healing and metaphysical. When she says long time, she means it. She's actually been doing this consciously and probably subconsciously from the time she was 8 years old, or by 8. It sounds unusual, but with a natural healer, it's not unusual. That's what she was meant to do. So that's what she was guided to do. And as she grew up, she got into the medical side because she became a chiropractor. And I explained that. Why did you do that? Was that because you were doing hands-on healing?
What I need to say is that I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a chiropractic physician.
See, I look at them as the same. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Explain to the public.
Okay. Well, it was a gradual progression. I think that the first thing that I got interested in was nutrition. I moved into a neighborhood in Houston that was just down the street from it was the first health food store I had ever seen. It was called Ye Seeker's Horizon. And as a matter of fact, Whole Foods was fashioned after that. They hired one of the women at Ye Seeker's Horizon to come to Austin and help them figure out how to do a layout for the first Whole Foods. And it was just a lovely store. And the employees were very good about explaining nutrition, and I was very eager to learn about nutrition. And so that was my first love, but there was also practitioner of polarity therapy there. No, the first it was reflexology. Foot reflexology was what I encountered first. And I was just astonished that he could work on my feet and tell me what was going on in my body, because I hadn't told him what was going on in my body. And so that rather fascinated me. And I had to buy a couple of books on that and study that. And then a polarity therapist, oh gosh, what was his name, came to Texas, and I went to a seminar with him.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you and ask you to explain polarity therapy.
Okay, so you don't need me to explain reflexology?
Sure, start there too.
Well, reflexology is the study of working on the feet, and it is that holds the belief that the feet hold the imprint for the whole body. So that if you work on various points on the feet, it will assist other areas in the body in getting better. Then polarity therapy was it is a form of body work where you're mostly working gently with the joints in the body to facilitate the chi or energy flow through the body. It's a very gentle and very lovely healing technique. So I got excited about that and began to practice it out of my home. Um and my then husband hired an attorney to find out if I was legal and what I was doing. And the attorney said that probably I needed a massage license. So I took massage training and got a massage license. See how it just all kind of gradually. And then after I'd been doing massage for a while, I met this holistic chiropractor who used applied kinesiology or muscle testing, which absolutely fascinated me. So over time, I wanted to practice kinesiology, but I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want the hours and hours it was going to take to become a chiropractor, because when I was attending U of H, I was very carefully avoiding the sciences because I just felt like I couldn't do them. Well, so I had to, in order to get into chiropractic college, I had to go back and pick up 35 hours of sciences. And it took me 2 years to do it. Those 35 hours weren't all classroom, they were lab. Some of it was lab. And I had to make, a certain grade to be accepted in chiropractic college. So I struggled through that and I made it. And I said, oh, goodness, I guess now I'm going to have to go to chiropractic college because I made this. So I applied and I was accepted. And I went through the 4 years of chiropractic college. It was kind of like walking on my knees through cut glass to get all the way through. I really struggled with chiropractic school, but I did pass, and I got my degree. And maybe my grades weren't the best, but I had this very loving professor who said, look, often the people who pass chiropractic school with the highest grades are totally out of touch with the humans. He said, you've got a great bedside manner, you're very kind and you're very caring, and you're going to do great. So he gave me the courage I needed to do that. And I practiced chiropractic for 30 years.
Goodness. So you don't consider that medical, even though you had to study the body in a different way.
Well, I studied the body in a much more in depth than a medical practitioner does. I had a friend whose daughter was going to medical school, and I invited her to come to chiropractic college with me and walk through my classes with me and dissect it. And we were in a class during that day that was dealing with the limbs of the body. I think at that time it was the arm. That day it was the arm and the hand and the shoulder and the complex in there. And she said, heavens, we don't have near that in-depth study of the body. Um, but what we studied was called toxicology, and she studied pharmacology. Both of them were about drugs, but we learned how dangerous they were. That a lot of people just say, well, drugs are kind of the be all end all, and you just need to take drugs for whatever ails you. And in chiropractic college, we were warned about the drugs and warned that there were other ways to deal with a lot of stuff. Some stuff there isn't, but so much, maybe 2/3 of the drugs that people take could be dealt with if you teach them about nutrition, if you teach them about proper exercises to do for whatever's bothering you, and if you get chiropractic. Now, chiropractic aligns the spinal bones, that top bone up there, the top C1, cervical 1 at the base of the skull. If it's misaligned, you've got a spinal cord that's torqued and you don't get the messages through that you need. Or anywhere down along the body, when the spine is misaligned, you're getting less chi, you're getting less energy, I guess I should say that. That's an American word. And you're getting less nourishment. So if you have all of that in alignment and you're eating properly and you're exercising properly, 2/3 of your problems will go away. So that's what we were taught. It was different, um, different than medical school.
Do you think that what you were taught should be taught in medical school?
Oh, absolutely. And they are doing a better job with, um, they're doing a better job with nutrition in medical school now. They
Okay, I
get,
like the way you said that, with nutrition, but they don't include the rest of what you just shared, like the movement of energy.
no, as far as I know, they don't. As far as I
Okay.
know, that's not given at all. And still many, now here in Austin, Texas, I would say that probably half the medical doctors have encountered chiropractic in a positive way at one time or another. So they've either got a family member that's for it, or a neighbor has had chiropractic. But I'll tell you, most people are afraid to talk to their doctors about chiropractic and admit that they see it because they don't want to be fussed at. They don't want to be reprimanded for doing something that they know is right for their body. And so a lot of them won't say anything to them. But it's kind of like my mother. My mother would have these, I don't know, periodically, maybe every 3 years, she would have bad sciatica, so bad that she might be down in bed. Sciatica, the sciatic nerve goes down uh, through the hip and into the leg. And if it's impinged upon, that nerve's impinged upon, the pain can be excruciating and you might not even be able to walk. And so there was a chiropractor in her church after I started to chiropractic college. There was a chiropractor. She went down with sciatica, and he said, well, why are you doing this to yourself? Why don't you get some chiropractic? And I think at that point, my mother, who was very disappointed that I went to chiropractic college, uh, went to see him, and she was like feeling better in 3 days instead of being down in misery in 3 to 6 weeks. And she became a believer. And I think that once you have an experience like that, you you never go back to just hot packs, and although those are a good idea, ice packs and hot packs, but you don't ever go back to just accepting the status quo with that. You want your chiropractor, and you want them now. So, yes.
Where does acupuncture fit into this? Reflexology, we've talked about.
Uh-huh.
And I've only experienced that once, but it was very, very helpful to me.
Only experienced acupuncture once, or
No,
reflexology?
reflexology.
Uh-huh.
And I've had a lot of chiropractic work done. Pop, snap, crackle, pop, and very, very helpful to me. I can't anymore because of the surgeries that I've had on my back. Nobody can work on me and do any of that anymore. And I kind of miss it, actually. Can do massage
They
work.
could if they're a doctor that uses an activator.
And well, okay, I'm unaware of that. We'll talk about activator in a minute. But I want to, so if you're going to do a pyramid, let's say chiropractic work, reflexology, where would acupuncture fit in there? Because it's a movement of the chi or the energy.
Well, I think it's a very valuable practice, very valuable. As a matter of fact, recently I spent, with this torn rotator cuff, I spent several weeks going in a couple of times a week and getting acupuncture for pain relief. Acupuncture deals with the energy centers in the body, and I can't talk very intelligently about it because I'm not an acupuncturist, but it does stimulate the energy centers in the body and helps the body heal itself. And I think
I think that's a great, helps the body heal itself, which is seems to be a basis for, or is a basis, I think, of, as I see your work, a basic natural way of healing.
right. And the Chinese have been doing acupuncture for over 5,000 years. So I figure they know something.
I think so too.
It just makes sense that those people figured out something that works.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because you've talked a lot about moving energy. And if you leave that out, does that not, how can I ask this? By leaving out acupuncture, are you leaving out a necessary tool that would support, or the others would support, to have the end result that you would like to see happen for a person's body?
No, not necessarily. I think that whatever gets your chi, whatever gets your energy moving is a good thing. It's just that with acupuncture you can be more specific to the area, or you can be general. A lot of people just do acupuncture for generally good health. But most people come in with a problem, just like they do with chiropractic. And our preferences as chiropractors would be that everybody came in and got an adjustment once a month to keep their energy flowing properly and everything able to heal. And I'm sure that with acupuncture, it's the same. But I think one thing that we're talking about here with reflexology, with polarity therapy, acupuncture, and chiropractic is that they are hands-on healing techniques. And the healer transmits healing energy to the patient. So, I don't think I had it. I don't think I had this totally figured out, but I knew that by age 8, I could put my hands on people who had a headache or neck pain or back pain, and they would feel better. And I know that before and healing is in my dharma. I mean, my father was a medical doctor. All 3 of his brothers were. I see the cousins, doing various healing work. And so, I think it's just in our lineage to come down, but everybody has healing energy in their hands. And you can take your hands and rub them together and hold them a little bit apart. And if you get quiet and you can feel the electricity coming out of your hands. So touching people has a very powerful effect, much more than sitting across the desk from somebody and writing out a prescription and sending them on their way. And not that that doesn't have value, because I certainly, if I'm run over by a truck, don't send me to a chiropractor or acupuncturist initially. Take me to the medical doctor. I'm just saying that a lot of stuff that people handle through taking drugs could be handled in a much healthier way. Even Eli Lilly says that for every drug consumed, for the good it does, there's also a negative reaction. There's an unhealthy, there's a toxic, was the word he used, toxic reaction.
When I hear something being advertised, and then of course when it's on television or whatever, they say it very quickly, but the side effects could be, and then you can hear them saying 100 side effects, and I'm going,
side effects could be death.
Yeah, yeah, or debilitating muscle movement, whatever. I'm going,
hanging out to the side of your mouth.
Yeah, so why am I taking this pill with all of no? But thank you for telling me. It's better than no warning at all, right? But you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
What I remember is or think of when I hear drugs being touted is that years ago there was a plant for that, or a tincture for that. So much of what we take today, yes, some of it is laboratory created. I acknowledge that some genius came up with some combination, but at the same time, there was something years ago that did the same thing.
Mhm.
My personal experience has been so often, if you're taking it after the fact, it takes a long time. If you're taking something to prevent, like a tea or a tincture, something like that, you're warding off the possibility of an issue.
Mhm.
So a lot of people don't look at it that way, but I'm appreciative of even the after the fact. Okay, I can use this salve and it will help. It'll take longer, but because after all, I didn't see this coming. So, yes, I want to use whatever I can in a natural way. But so much of what we're given in pill form, syrup form these days, salve, some people, some of our ancestors already had it. They knew how to crumple up roots and leaves and boil teas and make that. So I'm
It's
lucky. Go ahead. What?
Well, it's true. We've always had some sort of form of pain relief or whatever. I mean, in the Neanderthals, they even found in one of the skulls, in the teeth, there were remnants of an herb that is known to be healing. And even Neanderthals were taking and finding out what worked. But I'll tell you something else too. Chiropractic is fine, but what I kept coming across in my patients was almost always there was a big emotional component to what was going on. Even if they came in and they'd had a bad car wreck, I would just casually ask them, how's your life going? What's going on with you? And invariably, if they'd had a wreck, there was something big going on in their life. They were going through a divorce, or they had lost their job, or they were very worried about a sick child, some kind of emotional problem. And that's why I moved over. Well, there were several reasons that I moved over into energy psychology. But yeah, with chiropractic, what I found was that I frequently had to deal with attorneys, uh, and that could be a very distasteful experience. I had to deal with insurance companies. I had to deal with government rules and regulations. And then after dealing with all that, I could deal with a patient. And it wasn't it wasn't any fun anymore. Eventually it wasn't nourishing me. But I found that if I dealt with people through energy psychology, a lot of these things would clear up. Pain would clear up. All kinds of things would just clear up, helping them move through what was bothering them.
Is there a degree for that?
For energy psychology,
Yeah.
well, energy psychology has a bunch of modalities at this point. It didn't when I was in chiropractic college. I learned of NLP and was fascinated by that in chiropractic college, neuro linguistic programming. But over the years, many more have shown up, many more varieties of energy psychology. And some of them, uh, like NLP, and I think also, ooh, what's the back and forth with the hand and the light? There's two of them that require a college degree, and that a psychology or psychotherapy license, but many of them don't. And so I had such amazing success. I have a friend who's a psychologist, and I was in a very, very stuck place. Very stuck place. And my ADD was off the charts. I couldn't get my insurance patients handled. There was so much that I couldn't do. And I went in to see her, and she did one session with me. And I went back to the office, and I was so cleared out and so focused that I got all caught up in 3 days. And that was a miracle. So I began to really look at this, and I encountered tapping. I think tapping was the second energy psychology modality that I encountered. And the guy that started this was so generous with his information that he did not want to charge anybody for it, and he just wanted it out there. And he has reams and reams of stuff on the internet about
Okay. I'm gonna another thing. Another calling for tapping is EFT.
energy freedom technique.
Right.
Emotional freedom technique is EFT. Yeah.
Just in case you folks go looking and you don't find anything under tapping, which you would.
You would.
Yeah, you would.
You would find lots on it.
And it works. It works.
Well, so I had this group of friends. We would meet once a week, to do healing work on a particular friend who had had a stroke. So we would bring her in, and there were 4 of us, and we would all give her a session every week. One of the women that came in to do that was doing EFT. And so we just started doing it with her while she was doing it. And I was so astonished at how quickly it cleared up a lot of problems, a lot of emotional problems. And of course, Pat, after having her stroke, had a lot a lot of emotional problems just dealing with life. So I did that for a while, and then I got so good at it, I was doing group clearings, and I'd have 20 people in, and I'd have them all tapping along with me I'd pick a subject. It might be financial, it might be romance, it might be sex, it might be anxiety, and we would all just tap on that, and I would get incredible results with it, and I loved that. And so more and more I was doing less and less chiropractic and more EFT at the time. And then I encountered emotion code, which Dr. Bradley Nelson did. He's a chiropractor in Utah. I read his book and learned that it was something I could do for myself and I could do for other people. And so I combined that with the EFT tapping. And from there, I learned how to do pendulum work with Raymond Grace.
How did you? I don't mean, I do mean to interrupt you, because those are so different to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to you going from tool to tool to tool. Some blend like this, others are like this, but yet they work. Do they work for you because that's the energy you are supposed to share? Or would they work for me if I followed the same route? Do you think?
They would work for you if you followed the same route. I just have to say this about myself. I am an eternal student. And once I master something, or master is too strong a word.
No, that's it. That's what you do, is you master it.
Once I get good at something and I'm succeeding with that for a while, there's this little thing in the back of my head going, oh, look, there's another method you can use. There's another tool for your tool chest. And so then I have to go study that. And after I get really good at that, then in a little while, somebody else shows up and I have to learn something new.
What I find fascinating with you in particular, in public, I'm going to stop for here for a minute and say part of the reason for this podcast is to highlight the human in our practitioners. And she's already referred to that in her life. You know, there have been challenges, and she picked up and did her thing. She was still the human, but she made the human better with all of her challenges. And I think that's really, really important. And that's part of highlight why I wanted to do this podcast, was to say, hey, we're human. We cry and we scream and we holler and we have joy and we have kids and grandkids and we have pets, but we also do this. And as metaphysicians, I have never met a practitioner of just one tool.
Right.
It's we don't do it. All of us don't get together and say, okay, now I'm going to go do this. It's who pops up, or a client will come in and say, do you do? And 9 times out of 10, we've had it in the back of our mind. And if enough clients come in and say, oh, I wish you did, or do you combine? And then inevitably we go learn it. Sometimes we just get curious and we do it. What I've not heard you say is that you deal with Reiki. And yet you are a master of so many other hands-on tools, but I haven't heard you say you work with Reiki at all.
Well, I did get the training for Reiki.
See, public?
Back about 20 years ago, but the thing about Reiki to me was, you know, and no offense to Reiki people, because I love receiving Reiki, but I found that it was really just the same energy that I was using all along in my hands.
That's okay.
The energy is just there in my hands. And I can remember I was married to a man who, for many years, who was a marathon runner. And he would come in and he would hurt all over because for you know, maybe he had been out and run 12 miles that day and it had been a hot day or whatever. And I would put my hands on him and it would help him. But sometimes, and this is really funny, I've not had this happen since, but we'd be laying in bed and he would be dozing off and my hands would go off. Now, suddenly I would just start feeling the hot energy just rushing out of my hands. And there he is asleep on the bed beside me. And I would go, okay, spirit. Okay, goddess, where do you want me to touch him? And my hands would just go thunk.
Yeah.
And I would leave my hands on him until the energy stopped. And then I would, you know, pull them back and go turn over and go to sleep. But sometimes they still will go off if I'm around somebody or some kitty or dog that needs some help too. They just do that. They just go off.
And what she means by that is if I may interpret for you here, I don't like the word interpret, but a sensation happens. Your hands heat up, or sometimes you get a sense of throbbing. For me, it's like a cross between my hands tingle and throb at the same time. Usually right in the center of the palm. It's like something's pushed a button and then it just goes to the end of the fingers. So, but it's different with everybody. Everybody that does healing work. And my healing work is not consistent as yours is. Mine's kind of flip floppy. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it
My
doesn't.
psychic
No matter what.
abilities aren't as consistent as yours are too. So hey, we all have our specialties. I would love to have my psychic abilities as developed as yours are.
They are, you just don't admit it. And there's nothing to compare there. I don't do what you do. You know, you have so many gifts and you have taken and you're not going to like this, scientific attitude towards a lot of what you've learned, but you use it in the metaphysical world. And I noticed that you're working to become a medium. You already are a medium. But when I read that, I thought, oh, she wants to use it more consistently and have more of a controlling focus. And what I've seen you, because I've known you a while, I've seen you need to be in control of what you're doing. And you're highly intelligent and very well organized. And you have to humanize everything you know, or you feel like on some occasions you're not doing enough. So if you can become an expert and that person will receive what you're sharing, then you feel like you've done 100% for your client. And I can understand that, okay, I've mastered this, so I have to go over here because that's your need, that's your journey to help other people. That's how you function. So I'm not surprised at all. But everything that you do, you need a psychic base for. You need that opening.
That's
So
true.
you are already highly evolved as a psychic. You're just looking for another avenue of how you can use it to help other people. So for you to become a true medium, I used to laugh when I would hear people say, I'm a psychic medium. I'm going, they're one and the same. But in some ways, they're not. The mediumship, like Jane Roberts, is somebody truly coming through you. And in her case with Seth, I mean, Seth killed her. Basically, he wore her body out. He broke bones. He, in fact, Seth did a demonstration for the military physically, and they used and took filming, and they used one of the stills on the front cover of one of her books. In today's world, somebody would say, oh, that's AI, but it wasn't. he changed her bone structure during that session, and people could hear the crack, snapple, and pop. It was proof of mediumship. That was Seth. That had nothing to do with her. So you have to be careful about becoming a medium and set your boundaries, and have, you can be a vocal medium, you can be a physical medium. There are a lot of mediumships, but mediumship is based on psychic permission. So there is a difference between being a psychic medium. There is. You can be a psychic that says, I pick up on, but no energy, you're not coming through me. I set my boundary here, right here. You can allow me to see and to tell those people what I see and hear, but you don't need to come through me. But sometimes it will happen with psychics. The mediumship kicks in, especially in another language, or which we don't know how to speak, or some accent will come through. I've had that happen. And sometimes you're a female, but you'll sound like a male, or you're a male and you'll sound like a female, or whatever. Somebody will say something really cute that only the person that you're talking to, your client, will go, oh, yeah, that was my granny. What else does she have to say? So I find it fascinating that you don't give yourself credit enough for what you already have mastered. You are a psychic, just in a different, you're just on a different trail.
Well, I truly, I believe that we're all psychic. We all have that ability. I mean,
Yes.
my former husband's redneck father poo-pooed uh, psychic abilities, and yet he was in the oil well business, and he had rigs that he was responsible for, and he'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, the rig is fixing to blow. And he would have no information on that. He'd get on the phone and call all of his employees and say, get out there. It's fixing to blow.
Yeah.
And they'd be going, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't have any. Anyway, it always had blown by the time they got there. And yet he laughed at people who might say that they had any psychic abilities whatsoever. And I think, it's like a policeman knowing that somebody's lying to them when that
Yeah.
person looks totally credible. I think we have our psychic abilities focus on what we're doing, what we're interested in.
Okay. Okay. Public, she just said something really, really important. And that's what we focus on. What may be important for only 15 minutes, but if we focus on it, that's a big key to allowing ourselves to listen. Yay! Thank you for saying that. Okay. These little gems we get from everybody is just wonderful. Okay. You might have just allowed somebody to open up and go, oh, that's what I've been doing. Cool.
Well, good, because I try to point that out to people, that they when they're having information that didn't come from ABC right in front of them, that they have those abilities, and I see this. Mothers know when their children are lying. Mothers know when their children have been injured, and they get frantic. The kid's gone and they don't know where to find them, and before you know it, the police calls and said your kid's been in a motorcycle accident or whatever. So I think we all have it. I really do.
A lot of us just don't pay attention. That's it. Or we think, oh no, that can't happen. They're fine. They're getting massaged right
and
now.
you know
There's
what?
nothing wrong.
We are trained, I believe, to ignore our gut feelings. We're trained somehow or another. I know when I was little, I used to say things out of the blue that embarrassed people, and I didn't know it was going to embarrass them. and get reprimanded for it. And I think we're trained not to listen to that little voice inside. But I can remember going on a camping trip and looking over, there was a bluff nearby, and there were this was in Arkansas, and I saw two men in front of a pickup truck looking down the bluff at us where we had set up our tent and everything. And I said, Bart, those men are planning to come back after we go to sleep and rob us. And he said, oh, how ridiculous. Don't. He said, that's just a fantasy. And I said, no, I feel very uneasy about those men. Nah. And I said, okay, I've got my tarot deck with me. Let's do a reading. And the reading came up the tower. And
Whoa.
yeah, the outcome of that reading was the tower. And he looked at the reading and he said, okay, all right, we'll pull up stakes and move. And I was relieved. But that was the day that I swore I would never again deny that inner knowing that comes, that doesn't make any sense on the outside. You know, why would you think that two men standing, leaning up against a pickup truck, seemingly having a casual conversation, you can't hear it, you can't see what their mouth is saying, and you just suddenly get a sense of doom? You know, we women especially, we're taught to be polite, to always be polite. And often women will get a message that something is wrong here and not say, excuse me, I hear my mama calling, bye.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't want to be rude. Boy, rudeness is not a factor for me anymore. If I get a message that something's wrong, I obey it. I listen to it. And as a young woman, I didn't. And I can tell you, I got in trouble a lot in situations where, had I listened to myself, my foreboding that was going on inside, I would have not had to go through certain trials. And I
You
think,
know, I think some of that is generational too. I know for me, it was children are seen and not heard. Women are, you go take care of this. The men will take care of everything else. That was generational for a long time. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't care what age you are. And I really believe sometimes it was children are meant to be seen and not heard was because of some of your experiences. We might say something that would embarrass our adults or the person that we're speaking to. I get that. I fully believe that. Fully.
was, yeah, and this helps me, following this sense and this inner knowing helps me in doing energy psychology and moving through people's blocks, because a person will sit there and say, no, that's not me, no, that's not a part of my life, no, and I'm knowing it's not true. And so I have to, in I don't want to call them a liar.
Sometimes they don't realize it on their own. I know I've gone through that. I don't realize it till later. You just, sometimes it's not that you're willing to admit it, it's just that you don't see it that way because you're not ready for the healing process or not ready to let go or admit that you're wrong, whatever that word it means to you at the time. Does that go along with your emotion code?
Yes. Now with emotion code, what you do, emotion code has a list of 60 emotions. And you can go through, you're saying to a person, I say, now there's various ways you can approach this. One is the heart wall, which I'll explain in a minute. And another is just, I always start emotion code with what's priority. I ask the body, the person's body, what is priority here? And I go down the list and I either muscle test them or I muscle test myself and I go, okay, is this primary emotion in column A or column B? Okay, it's an A. So is in the odd rows or the even rows? Okay, it's in the even rows. Okay, so would it be in 2, 4, or 6? And so very quickly, you locate primary emotion, stuck emotion that's going on for a person, and you clear that emotion. You can do it with a pendulum. I've gotten to where I don't even bother with a pendulum, but you just clear it from the person, and then you go to the next emotion. You can do that for priority, or you can do it for a particular problem the person has, or you can do it with the heart wall. Now, the heart wall is something that Dr. Nelson discovered along the way, is that most of us build up a wall. We have these different emotions that we've experienced in the past, and they're painful, they're uncomfortable, and we use that as a shield to keep people out. So we all know people out there who really, really crave a relationship, but a relationship doesn't show up for them, or it doesn't work out for them. And once you start peeling the layers of emotions off, then different things happen. I've even had a woman that I was working on her heart wall, and her finances cleared up really fast, and she started making money and not struggling with money. But emotion code is delicious to me. Now, I use tapping, I use Raymond Grace's work. I actually have 2 other energy psychologies that I use, like to clear entities. But emotion code will also pick up on emotions that you have inherited from your ancestors, or emotions you've picked up in the womb. So those are pre-verbal. You don't even know they're there. You don't even know to work on them on a conscious level, but they're locked into your system. So emotion code will pick up, like, you can ask, is this um, is this in the womb, or is this an ancestral issue? And it'll tell you, and then you ask, well, is a grandparent, is a great grandparent, is a great grand, and literally emotions get passed down from generation to generation, and they're locked in the body. And those are the ones that, even if you've got the best psychotherapist in the world, you're never going to find, because you don't know that they're there. And when you clear those, people just are amazed at what releases for them in getting rid of stuff that's been passed down. And then they don't pass it down to their unborn children.
What you've just shared with us is really a hidden part of who we are. When we have problems or challenges, we really don't have, we can say, okay, we started it, or so this event started it, when it could have started pre-birth. But no one tells us that, or we don't believe it, because we're taught not to go to psychiatrist or therapist or mental help or emotional help of any sort. That's not going to help. This is just this lifetime. We have to believe in what you just said. We have to at least give it a chance.
Well, and also when I'm asking about emotions, now I want to clarify, Dr. Nelson is he does not believe in reincarnation. But if I can't get an answer on an emotion, I will ask if it's past life. And Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's an emotion that came down through the spirit instead of through the body. And I clear those out too.
That can be really complicated.
It can be very complicated, but it's fun. I love
Listen to
it.
you.
It's this great adventure to help a person unlock whatever's going on with them. So it frees them up. It gives them so much more clarity and so much more energy. And same with clearing of entities. People get stuck with all these unseen pieces of riffraff that when I start working on a person, my first session, I clear entities. That's what I do. I clear them so that they're not in the way, blocking me from getting the results I want with somebody.
I think what you just said is very important. The blocking, even if it's, yes, entities, absolutely. But even if it's us that's blocking and we don't know it, we don't.
Well, what I do when I clear other people is I always clear myself at the same time so that I'm not blocking what comes in. And I think that people attract entities. I know I go to Houston on a regular basis to see an ex-husband who's in a nursing home. Those poor people don't have a lot of ability. Their chi is way down and they don't have a lot of blocking ability. So when I'm driving to Houston, I'm clearing him and I'm clearing the people that work there of entities so that I can have a pleasant visit with him. I used to absolutely dread going to hospitals to see my friends, to support my friends. And once I learned to clear the entities, because hospitals and nursing homes are cesspools for entities. And I just start clearing as I go down the hall, clear the room that they're in with any of the entities that are stuck in the wall, and I clear their doctor. And I did this for a client who went to see her dentist. She had to have dental surgery, and she was very worried about that. So I got her to give me the dentist's name and his assistant, and I cleared them. I I cleared the office and I cleared her. And she came in and told me about 3 weeks later that she'd been back to see the dentist and that he told her he had never seen somebody heal as fast as she had. And I think that, when you pull this riffraff off of people, the body goes, oh yeah, thank you. Now I can do the healing I need.
I love the way you talk about the body as an entity itself, an individual itself, separate from everything else. Like it has a mind of its own.
It
Separate from the
does.
mind we do. Yeah, it does. But so few people, I have clients that have given their body, their marriage, their work, their own names. Well, how do you think Sally would think about that? Meaning one of those things. If they own their own business, the business has a name, but what is its nickname? Say Bud. What do you think Bud will think about that if we do that? Because it is a creation.
Well, and I even do my car. Her name is Sassy, and my house has a name and my computer has a name. I mean, I wouldn't say that any of them are sentient, but there there is something in them that responds to us that is
Yeah.
almost sentient.
Mr. Mr. Thunder got me home the other night on fumes. And I live in Elgin. I learned the hard way that there's not a gas station open after Manor. There's just not at 1 o'clock in the morning. There's not. If you want to put your card in the outside tank, maybe. But I noticed two that I drove through two. They had a cover on their nozzle. So you couldn't even get it if you put your credit card in there or debit or whatever. And now I know, don't wait. You better get gas before you head home, because at 1 o'clock in the morning, if you go through Manor, you're not going to get gas. Okay. And I was trying to get to a particular station to support locals, and they weren't open. That's another probably 15 minutes from 290 to my place in the country. And I thought, okay, if I can get home, I'll call AAA tomorrow and they can bring me some gas. And something said, no, we'll be able to get into town. And I did. But I kept saying, Thunder, we can do this. Come on, Thunder, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it. I'll never put him through that again. But we made it this time. And I learned something. I learned something about my geography, my neighborhood. But yeah, it's I try to honor everything I have that helps me in my life by giving it a name. I haven't given the house a name. My computer is Buddy. It's my bud.
Your house deserves a name.
Yes, it does. I agree. It does. And I will have to think about that.
And Bart asked me, he hadn't seen the house yet, and the house I've bought, and he said, "Well, have you named her yet?" And I said, "No, she hasn't revealed it to me." But I know that if I sit quietly there, normally when I get to the new house, I'm busy. I've got tasks to do, a closet to paint, or something to do there. But when I take the time to go there and sit down quietly and ask her what her name is, she will reveal it. It will come to me crystal clear. The cats did that too. The cats always tell me what their name is if I stop and ask them. They'll say. But you just hear it in your head and okay.
You just know. Yeah. I want to check what we've gone through here because I want to make sure we don't leave anything out. Talked about the emotion code, energy psychology. We've done everything else. I had everything written down. You just went through it like you saw me write it. Nutrition. She can be found at www.compassionateclearing.com. Her books are Emotion Code by Nelson, Nelson.
Bradley, it's Bradley Nelson. Mm-hmm.
Bradley. Let's not forget the last name. First name. And the EFT Manual by Dawson
Church.
And then there's Soul Medicine, which in this book I'd never heard of. I think it's great. Soul Medicine by Dawson Church and Norman Sheely, Sheely. The future is yours. Do something about it. It's a nice, go for it kind of attitude, by Raymond Grace.
Well, Raymond Grace, he's really funny. Raymond just says it like it is with everything. He practically, if somebody asks him a question that's really stupid, he practically says that's a stupid question. He's just he's a character. Raymond Grace is a wonderful character.
Is he still around? He's still with us?
He is.
Good. And then there's another one, The Future is Yours. Stories about dowsing, spontaneous healing, which I love, ghost busting, and the incredible power of the mind. Now, that is a long book name. But who is it by?
Raymond Grace.
Raymond Grace. Okay. Raymond, I'm making notes for myself here. Because probably I try to read some of these books after I do these conversations. I usually don't know about them until after the conversation. Now, the mystery thing that I needed to fill in was people are welcome to go to my website, look under dash. to find the code, then email me with that code number, that code number for a 20-minute free and one quick clearing. That's what you are offering.
No, no,
for
no,
our
no.
public.
No. I emailed you a
Okay,
correction on that.
I didn't get it. What's the correction?
Oh, no. Okay.
That's
So
okay.
if
Tell us now. Tell us
all
now.
right. So people, I'm offering a first session for half price.
Okay.
If they want it for half price, and it is my first sessions are an hour and a half, and they are ordinarily 165.
Okay.
But I'm offering it for just for people that have listened to the podcast for $80.
Wow.
Their first session. Normally my sessions last for an hour, and they're 120. But this opening session for your listeners will be $80.
Now remember, folks, you have to
That
say
will
you heard it here.
yes,
Yeah.
that will include an entity clearing for the client, plus anybody in their household, plus their pets.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a bargain, girl.
Well, it is. And I'll tell you, I had a client who moved in with this family because she got kicked out of the house by her partner. And she loves cats, and they had this cat would not let her touch her. Every time she went for the cat hissed and threatened her. She came in to see me and had a clearing, and I cleared her of entities. And next time she went to the house, the cat was totally okay with her living on her. Those cats can see entities, and they didn't want her, that cat didn't want her touching her. The cat didn't have any loyalty to her. Now, a lot of times a cat will take entities off of you if you've got entities. They'll do that as a love offering for you, but this cat was saying, you don't belong here, you're not my family, and you basically stink. So don't touch me. I don't want your entities. I don't want your cooties on me.
We have a neighborhood cat out here that I know it belongs to somebody. I just don't know who. But it'll come up on the porch and it'll just stare in the window. And I'll go outside and say, "How you doing today? Can I get you a treat?" Or grab a treat on the way out. And it will let me get about a foot. And it doesn't hiss. It's just like, "Okay, I'm here to check on you. I'm out of here now." And it won't take any food. It won't take a treat. I mean, a cat that walks away from a treat. Wow.
That's
And it just walks off. And every now and then it'll look back like, at first I thought it was saying, "Follow me." Because cats will do that. And I did follow it for maybe 8 or 9 steps. And then it started running. And I thought, okay, I'll run too. And then it turned around and looked at me like, "Stop. I'm okay." I said, "Okay." And it walked off very calmly. But I have to admit, that first time I was worried that I'd stopped too soon. And I haven't done that. It will come and look in the window. I'll go outside. We'll have a little conversation, and it leaves. I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. I have no clue.
it's fascinated by you.
It's like it's a little guardian of some sort. And it, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And if it comes any more than that and I'm not here, I don't know. But that's when I see it. And I also thought, okay, I have an inside cat and one that we call our wild child that comes in and out. And I thought, well, maybe this cat is coming for one of those, or checking in on the wild child, and which is a male. But that's the only cat in my entire adult life that has ever done that.
Hmm.
Ever. Just like,
What's-
"I'm just checking on you. You still here?" "Okay."
Well, I clear the pets in the family because I just think that it helps to have everybody in the family not having entities, and that it's going to be more comfortable for my client and really everybody else if I take,
Yeah.
and it's not that much more complicated. It's not, it takes 30 seconds more to clear the house. So I do that always with the first session.
Well, you're being very generous with that gift. Thank you so much. So, listeners, I mean this in a positive way. Take advantage. Take advantage. Maybe it will open the door for further work with Robin, which is always good. And if there are issues that need more than one session, she can guide you into that at that time with this initial session.
So
WW
what they need to do is email me and put in the subject line Elaine Ireland. And then I will know that they've watched the podcast and give them that discount.
Thank you very, very
I
much.
had that they've watched the podcast.
Okay, the phone number, you can find it on
512-444-9777.
and you have a newsletter that's always interesting. What's the name of your newsletter and how do they find it? How do they become part of
Well,
that?
it's the Compassionate Clearing newsletter, and they just need to go to my website, www.compassionateclearing.com. And there's a little button that you sign, it's right there on the front page, and you sign up for it.
There you go,
If
folks.
you decide you don't like it, you just unsubscribe from it.
Okay. I've taken some notes here, so and highlighted some stuff. I'm trying to make sure that we've got everything here. Dr. Robin Hart Shepperd, Shepperd. Okay. Okay, I've covered all my stuff. What else would you like to leave with the public today? Words of wisdom.
Wow, well, you didn't warn me that I was to be giving people words of wisdom. I think
That just came. I didn't know it was going to come. That just came.
I think right now, I think that most of your listeners would agree that there's a lot of chaos out there being stirred up politically, and it can be very distressing. There's a genocide going on. There's a full country takeover going on that our government could do a better job with and is not doing their work. And so it's easy to get caught up in all of that, but I want to remind you that it takes a toll on your body if you swim in that. So do your protests, write your letters, make your phone calls, but then disengage and go back to loving on your little kitties. I startled Hallie here. She's like, go back to whatever brings you pleasure, and remind yourself to not sit in the chaos and anger and upset that's going on out there right now. It's very easy to do that, but it's hard on your psyche, it's hard on your body, it's hard on your spirit.
Thank you for that, folks. Thanks for being with us today and allowing me to share Dr. Robin with you, a lady of a lot of experience and lived wisdom. And thank you for that and sharing yourself. I really, really, really appreciate your time, your
Thank
energy.
you, Elaine.
So check out her site, see what else she has to say. And do you have a library of your newsletters? How often do they come out?
I have a library of the articles that I write.
Okay.
And it's not been, when I switched over my whoever was carrying my newsletter and my emails and all that, those articles were jumbled, so they were categorized, and I'm in process of trying to straighten those up now. But I've got probably, I would say, 100 articles on various subjects. So if you're concerned about dealing with your family during the holiday, I've got articles on that. If you're anxious, I have articles on that. If you're looking for transformation, I have articles on that. So you just look up your category.
She has shared a lot of her human living as well as spiritual growth. So I'm going to say take advantage of that in a positive way, and stay in touch no matter where you live. I'm sure she can, because do you do healing from distance healing? Yeah. See, so I thought you did, but I wasn't sure. Didn't want to commit you to something there. So thank you for that. But thank you. So it's such a pleasure. And I know it's you're a busy lady, and I appreciate your time very much. And with this, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you. And I'm going to click the off button, but hang around yourself for a moment or two. Thank you, folks, everybody. Be safe out there.
Thank you for tuning into the Conversations with the Ancients, where we take you on a journey where you'll hear voices of metaphysicians from the past, as well as today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Remember to visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Conversations with the Ancients.